Welcome back, everyone, to Blue Collar Startup. I'm your co-host, Mike Nelson, with the other co-host, Derek Foster.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well, Derek. How are you?
I'm doing well.
That's good. Kind of coming in hot today. I, as always, a little optimistic with what I could slam into my schedule today, back to back, but we made it. And very grateful for Doug Ford and Pam Stott, their patience that they showed me today so far. So thanks, guys. Sorry about the wait and getting started. But welcome. And we're so excited. I know that we've been trying to get you in for a while, and really excited to have you here and to talk about workforce development, right? That's something that's on everyone's mind and out of the trades for that matter. But we'll focus in on the blue collar side of things. So welcome. Thanks for coming.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Glad to be here. We love to talk about this.
Right. So, and maybe, because you talk about it a lot, right? So maybe if the both of you could just kind of introduce who you are and why it is that you talk about workforce development so much.
You start, Doug. You go ahead.
Well, she wants the old guy to go first. I've been in the trades or been in the industry for 46 years. I started right out of college back in 1977. I ran out of beer money and needed a part-time job and went to work for Grossman's Lumber, and I was with them for 19 years. And then when they went out of business, I went to work for Curtis Lumber, and I've been there for 27. So it was not my intention to do this, but this is where I ended up. And if I had it to do all over again, I would absolutely do it again.
How many years?
46.
46.
In the industry. I graduated with a degree in social work. So how do you make that connection?
That's why she works so well with me.
That's right. It prepared me. But really, I've been with Curtis Lumber for about 13 years. And prior to that, I was involved with, I was a facilities manager. I handled a lot of facilities in the state of Georgia. And prior to that, I worked with a company on a lot of relocations and setting up new offices. So I've been associated with the construction industry and the building industry for a long time. And I love it. I just absolutely love it. So I moved back here from Atlanta, and I was born and raised in Tupper Lake and got a job with Curtis. I was doing some volunteer work for the Showcase Committee. And somebody said, "Oh, you're looking for work? Curtis needs good people." So that's how it happened.
And that's how it happened. Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Tupper Lake real quick, but let me there's a little bit of feedback coming through the microphone. So 1 second here. Let me I think it might be yours, man. It was not you, no.
You're being nice.
It was that mic.
Oh.
Let's see, I can hear just a little bit of a...
Yeah, the difference.
Ever so slight.
Yeah. And I was trying to turn your microphone up a little bit, and every time I touched it, it would get a little worse. I was like, oh.
Nobody ever has asked to turn my volume up. Write that down, Doug. Ever.
Mark that on the calendar, everybody.
Truer words have never been spoken.
So Tupper Lake, so I'm from Saranac Lake.
Oh my God, okay. Yeah.
I grew up there probably most of my life anyway. I didn't go to high school there. I went to high school in Plattsburgh, but up until just a few years ago, owned a house in Saranac Lake because I had bought my grandmother's house from the family, and
nice.
I still stomp her. We have a camp up on Whole Pond out there, out by the golf course, and up there any chance we get. But,
oh, nice. I grew up right on the lake, but I left when I was 18. I did. I don't like the winters, and now I'm back.
They've got so much going on in Tupper Lake right now.
It's getting in the Wild Center there. It's just an awesome place. They've done a phenomenal job with that.
And they've got the observatory going in, that whole new trail system. Maybe it's not the highlight for everybody, but the highlight for me, Racket River Brewing Company and the beer that those guys are amazing.
Rocks every day.
Oh my God.
I got to go to Tupper Lake.
Listen, first of all, it's beautiful up there. It really is.
It's very special.
Yeah, it's just so great. And Tupper Lake itself has just changed so much in the last 10 years. And I feel like it did start with the Wild Center.
I agree.
Which I bring the kids up there for the Wild Center. It's amazing. They will love it. We're supposed to be going. We were going to go this fall. We didn't make it up there this year yet, but hopefully we will here in the next week or two before it really gets, like right now is probably the best time of the year to be up there with the leaves.
Prime season.
Yeah.
And it's always nice to give them PR. They deserve it. And what's great is it's so different than the one in the museum in Blue Mountain Lake.
Yeah.
Completely different, which is awesome because it's all that same area, but they're just two great great places to visit.
Yeah, they really are.
Yep.
They
So it's
probably
nice
have
to
snow
pull-
up there, don't they now?
Be quiet. I don't know. I don't go up.
I know I've seen some things at White. My parents live. They have a little camp over in Wilmington, and they sent me pictures of snow on the on Whiteface. Anyway, they've been getting snow for a good month. But so anyway, that's great. Big shout out to everybody over at
It's
Tupper
beautiful.
Lake. Right,
Yeah.
beautiful. Check it out. So. So obviously, workforce development is just such a huge thing. So maybe we should start with the problem with workforce development, right? Like what are the challenges that the trades are seeing right now with developing a workforce and bringing people in and finding people that want to do the work? And what can you tell us about, the challenges that everybody's seeing right now?
So that's kind of how this whole thing kind of spun out of control, I guess. But I sit on the board for the Saratoga Builders Association. In every single board meeting for years, we would start the meeting by discussing the fact that they could build more if they could just find the labor. And this would go on meeting after meeting. And finally I got bold and I said, look, we either need to do something about this or we need to take it off the agenda. And that immediately got me appointed to a task force. And my first course of duty was to recruit Pam, and since then, 7 years ago, we started attacking this issue. But it's right now everybody is looking for labor. You go back 7, 8, 10 years. I mean, our industry, the building material industry, the construction industry, has been struggling for labor. And in the beginning, we wanted to blame the schools and the counselors for the problem. And as we did our homework and did our research, we quickly realized that it really comes back to us as an industry. We've done an absolutely horrible job, educating the schools, the counselors, getting in front of students, and then you couple that problem with the parent piece. Parents are of this mindset that they want their children to go to college, and we do not talk about not going to college, but college is just one other pathway into the trades. There's multiple pathways. So, that's kind of been our mission. It's really around education, and the problem is now compounded because everybody's looking for labor.
And when we started out, when Doug came to me the night after that meeting, we didn't know what we were going to do. We had no clue how to tackle this. We just knew that somebody had to start somewhere to do something. And we knew because of what we do for our work that we would have enough contacts. So we got a few builders involved. So I think there were really just 4 of us initially. And we said, where do we start? What do we need? Well, logically, you need to get to the students, right? And start there. So we contacted almost all of we contacted all of them, and we actually met with most of them. In Saratoga County, we started out under the Saratoga Builders umbrella. And we met with superintendents and principals with almost every school in Saratoga County. This was before COVID, so it was all face-to-face meetings. And we wanted to get into their schools to be able to speak with their students and bring their students out in the field, blah, blah, blah. But I have to say the schools from day one were so open. They opened their doors and they opened their minds to us. They really did. And as Doug said, we quickly realized, we started thinking, well, the schools, the counselors aren't talking to the students about these, but we quickly realized it's because the counselors didn't know enough about the trades to be able to speak to the students and the parents, right? So part of our responsibility, it's one thing to go in and talk to the students, but we also felt an obligation to help educate the counselors as well, so that they were equipped and had the tools and the resources to talk to students.
It's just such an amazing thing to me because that, Derek and I, it was this week, right?
Yeah.
It was just the other day.
Tuesday.
We were over at BOCES interviewing one of the graduates from their construction program.
Storky.
Yeah, Storky. Big shout out to Storky. Sam Stork, right?
Yes.
Sam Stork, yeah.
Sam.
And Jared, one of the teachers and program directors over there. And it's just amazing. We talked to those people and then we're at HVCC, the Blue Collar College, right? And we're down there talking to those guys and interviewing students, and every one of those students has got a job coming out of college, right? And the kids at BOCES, they've got jobs the minute they come out of those programs. Not a one of them, if they want to work, is going to lack, right? And then we look at other career paths with kids that are going to college and they're graduating and they don't have jobs and they're going to wait tables or go work in the trades and so it's just amazing to me that it's as much of a challenge as it is.
Yeah, that is so true. And the great story here behind this is if a student gets into the trades and goes into the field, he can advance so fast right now because there's such a shortage that if they apply themselves, 2 years out of school, they can be making more than the teachers.
Yeah.
It's extremely lucrative now, and
you don't have the debt either.
Well, yeah, it could be 2 years out of BOCES and graduating high school, you've got no student loan debt whatsoever, and you're making really good money. Or it could be coming out of a 2-year program at HVCC and still not a ton of debt. I mean, that's not I don't say not an expensive program. I mean, it's a good amount of money, but comparatively, to other 2-year and 4-year schools, like you're doing okay. And
you got a 2-year head start.
Yeah. It's just amazing to me that it's the challenge that it is.
But, I'm an example of a typical, which is really kind of the offset of why I am passionate about this cause, to be perfectly honest with you, because I'm a typical example of somebody, grew up in Tupper Lake, New York, who it was never, are you going to go to college? It wasn't really even a discussion. It's just, you're going to go to college. And not that I came from a very wealthy family, we're just middle class, but you're going to go to college. It's just expected. You don't talk about it, right? And not a lot of guidance in terms of other opportunities. So most of us that went to college, I say my friends and all of us, we had no idea what we were going to do, what we wanted to be when we grew up, which we're going to go to college. Everybody, the line you always heard was, don't worry, you got the first year, just take a bunch of liberal arts classes, you'll have time to figure it out. I got news for you. After a year doing that, you still don't have any idea what you want to do and what you want to be, you know? And it's just, I still to this day, that's the story. That's a typical story. And this is, I'm 68 years old. This is going back a long time, and it's still the same way today. So we're just out there trying to bring awareness about the trades to show students what their options are. We're not anti-college, like Doug said, at all. We just want you to know what your options are. And even if that helps you say, ooh, I don't want to go for the trades, that's not me, that's okay. At least those options have been presented to you to help you make informed decisions about your career choices. That's the bottom line. It's pretty simple.
One of the crazy things to me too is we talk to people that are not in the trades, and they're like, oh, that just sounds like going to the trades just sounds like so much work, and I'm just like, so is teaching. And so is waiting tables or bartending, and so
that's why it's called work.
And so I'm wondering, can you guys maybe shine some light on, because one of the things that you said just a couple minutes ago about your meeting, really where we some of the places we've got to get to the students, but we also have to get to the parents, right? Because the parents are the ones that are saying, don't go into the trades, go to college so you can quote unquote get a real job. Like, so why is there that misconception, I guess, right? Where does that come from? Like, what is that all about, that people think that going into the trades is not going to be a prosperous career path for their kids? I talk about it all the time. I hope my kids go into trades. Yeah. Sounds great.
So there's a couple different pathways we can take there. And I do think going back 40 years ago, the trades were very different than they are today. They're not as, they weren't as safe. They were, there wasn't the technology that there is today, the level of equipment. So, some of that is based off of their experience growing up, but that has all changed, and they're not aware of that. They're just, that's not there. What we found with the students, when we can get in front of the students get it, they understand it. And they're willing to look at the trades as an option, because there's more than just the guy in the ditch, the person on the roof, There's a lot of other trades that are a lot of other jobs that are part of the trades that aren't, that don't have that physical aspect. There's the design, the design phase. There's the project management. There's all these other components that are part of the trades that just don't get the same exposure. So we try to make them aware of all the different opportunities. Same thing, when we bring students to Curtis Lumber, we don't, they think about the guy that's driving the truck, the person that's loading the truck, and the person on the front counter. They don't think about the logistics office that we have. They don't think about the estimating department. They don't think about the mechanic shop, the door shop, all these different jobs that exist. They have no clue. When they come there, they're like blown away that, you know, Curtis Lumber has all these different jobs that they weren't aware of. So it really comes down to, you know, a lack of understanding and a lack of awareness. But the parent piece, you know, that's been the harder part of this. But COVID actually did us a favor in that space, because they started thinking this whole college scene and sending their kids off to, you know, halfway across the country to college. And a lot of the classes were even remote, even when you are on campus. So that has really helped us. And the focus that we put on guidance counselors has helped us as well, because counselors are that direct link to the parent. So when you've convinced the counselors to talk to the kids about the trades and help give them the tools to be able to do that, they can in turn now talk to the parents when the student goes home and says, I want to do this, and, you know, parents are pushing back.
Yeah.
Counselors can support that. You know, we did a workshop for counselors last March, or this past March. We had 88 school counselors there, and I could tell you it was probably one of the best things that we did. Those counselors left with tools. They heard from people from the trades, and after that 2.5-hour workshop, we had them on our side, and it's been great. You know, we're doing another one here in the spring as well, and we'll continue to do that. But the counselors have really made a turnaround, and when you give them the tools and help them know how to talk to the students, they'll do it. Yeah. They want what's in the best interest of the students.
The trades have advanced just like every other industry out there. They've had to keep up with the times. You know, there's stability in the jobs, there's great compensation now, there's benefits. You know, there's the science, the technology, and the math and design, and all those aspects that people don't think of when they think of the trades. And there's two things when we talk to the students that we always try and do. Number one, we always try and equate what they're learning in school, the math, the science, the technology, and all that good stuff, to careers in the trades. Apply it to the field. And the second thing we always try and do is put younger people in front of them any chance we can. People that have been in the industry, like we were talking earlier, Derek, people have been in the industry not very long, maybe 5 years, a couple of years. They're, you know, they've got steady work, they've got good work, and they're making good money, and they're not paying off a big debt.
Yeah.
So when you can get those, they're relatable. You know, you put somebody like Doug or I in there that's been doing it for 40 years, they don't care about that. They don't care about all that history. They don't, though, and they can't relate to that. But you put somebody just a few years ahead of them in there, it makes a big difference, and their eyes open.
Yeah.
You know.
So you guys have had quite the journey since you started. When you first had the vision for what you were going to do to solve the problem. So tell us a little bit about that and where your organization is now. And I know you have some exciting things that have happened and are coming up. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, go ahead, Pam. I'll let you kind of take the lead on that.
You know, we just started out, like I said, with just a few of us, and we had no idea what was going to happen here. We just said we're going to try it. Well, people just kept joining our organization, and they wanted to be involved, and they wanted to contribute, and they wanted to be out there, and they wanted to do something. And all of a sudden, it was, 35 plus organizations that were involved in this. So we got to the point where it just became its own animal, and we said we have to form a nonprofit. So we did. We just got that approved this past March. So we're officially a nonprofit organization.
Oh, it's awesome.
The Northeast Construction Trades Workforce Coalition. And it's really exciting. It's pretty cool. But we never had any idea it would grow into this. It's not what we anticipated. It's not what we were trying for. It's just what happened organically, which makes it even better, right? That makes it really cool.
One of the things that happened along the way, and this was kind of interesting the way it developed, but people started asking to be part of it, and they wanted to specialize in a specific area. Like, we had some people that really were interested in the legislative piece of what we were doing. There's others that really wanted to work with the kids hands-on and be in front of the kids. We had a marketing group. So we really took this coalition and we broke it up into subgroups that really focus on certain areas. And that's helped us draw in others as well, because not everybody wants to do the whole big picture, but they have their own area of expertise and interest. So, the legislative group is, we've been down to Albany a few times, and, we continue to drive that piece. Mary Beth Walsh and Carrie Warner have really partnered up with us and have been awesome. Jim Tedesco, there's others that, throughout the state that have, partnered up with us and understand the value in what we're trying to do. So we're going to continue to work with the legislators. There's still a lot of work to be done in that space, but.
And what sort of things are you doing with the legislators? Like that, like I hear that, I'm like, oh, I'm like, what would they, like? Are they working to obtain grants and funding, or like where do they come into play for this?
Yeah, all of that, and there's a wage issue with the BOCES teachers, the career and technical teachers, and we've been working through them to try to get them on a better playing field in terms of pay, so we can attract the right teachers to be in front of these students.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of stuff. Just more of awareness, understanding that somebody that invests 4 years in the trades is equivalent to 4 years, in a school.
Yeah.
One's no better than the other. It's just a different path.
Yeah, absolutely.
We did a legislative breakfast this past year, and it was amazing how kind of uninformed and unaware they were. Really, we were surprised.
Yeah.
Probably about half of them. I think we had 7 or 8 of them there, and probably half of them were not really well informed of what this problem is like.
The elected officials themselves.
Yeah.
It's sad to say, but it's true. So we have a lobbyist. We're so fortunate that we have a lobbyist on our coalition, and he's been a lobbyist for years, and his father was before him, and he's just been great, and he's helped us go more statewide. We've definitely grown beyond Saratoga County where we started out originally.
Mm-hmm.
We're just more statewide in a lot of our efforts now.
Is that Bill?
We always get Todd Vandervoort.
Oh, okay.
Todd Vandervoort.
Yeah.
Vandervoort Group. Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome guy.
Yeah.
So we've definitely grown way beyond what we ever expected. So.
Yeah, no, we've, the great thing for us to see is when we bring the kids out into the field, we create, job shadowing opportunities, internships. We bring classes out into the field, job sites. And, that was, during COVID, that was really kind of the hardest thing for us to deal with. We worked on some other things during COVID, but it's really that, face to face with the kids and seeing their excitement when they realize that, hey, this is something that I can do, male and female.
Yeah.
That's whole nother avenue for us to talk about is women in the trades. There's such a lack of women in the trades, and it's a wide open opportunity.
Like for some of that, do you think just some of that is just because of just so many old stereotypes and stigmas and that like
women can't do that hard work. We can't lift things. We're too petite. We're too little. We're too fragile. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Well, you did a podcast with Taylor Hoyt from Witt Construction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a great example of a great female in the trades.
Yeah, she was great.
And she's terrific.
Yeah, and we just had from MLB Construction.
Kelsey.
Yeah, we just had Kelsey Martin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's project manager with those guys. She's great. Yeah, absolutely. And that's something. And we had from Grasshopper.
Oh, Amanda Triolo.
Amanda Triolo, yeah, and she owns the HVAC company, and I just there's we could probably, the list can continue to run on and on and on, right? Like I know there's tons of, and that was actually something I was going to say before too, is there are just so many brilliant blue collar entrepreneurs and in our area. I don't know if this is like not the way it is across the country, because I look around our local, Tri-County or Capital Region, and there's so many.
Everybody's got a truck and a trailer.
Holy moly! But there's,
they line up at Stewart's in the morning for their coffee.
I know, but there are large employers, both men and women owned, that are blue collar businesses, and I see that, and I'm like, how could, in this area especially, how could someone not want to at least check out the trades? Like if you're thinking that you want to own a business, regardless of what you think that path is going to be, like, why would you not consider the trades? There's, when you look at, let's see, like Munner Enterprise, I think Munner's on your, right?
Mike,
you got Munner business like Munner Enterprises, you've got Bonaccio Construction, you've got Kodiak, yeah. I mean, Jesse, right?
Jesse,
yeah. So there's just so many amazing businesses, and almost all of them started with a guy with a pickup and a trailer, or a woman with a pickup. You know what I mean? Like with one person, or maybe a very small group, and then they grew into these huge businesses. And it's just amazing to me that, even if you don't want to swing a hammer and be up on a 140-degree roof on a July day, that you wouldn't want to explore this. So I just have such a tough time wrapping my hands around it sometimes of why it's such a struggle still.
Yeah,
There's a lady that works for Whitbeck Construction and Julie Putzel, and she also has her own design business. She's a family. She has 2 young kids. And, sometimes she'll be out there on the job site with a little baby on her hip.
Yeah.
But she's doing it. She's got 2 jobs and 2 kids and a husband and a family and business, and it's just incredible what she does. She's phenomenal,
Yeah.
But she gets it done, and she's not the only one. They're out there.
I think it goes back to, the counselors too, the early days when we were talking to the counselors, and, like I said before, we wanted to blame the counselors for everything that was wrong with our, labor issues in the trades. But, in the early days, we did run into some counselors that felt that the kids that were best suited for the trades were the ones that couldn't cut it academically. And that is, again, that was one of those issues that we had to address. And this is wide open for everybody. Everybody learns differently. Everybody has different academic abilities, but this career path is open to everybody. And the counselors have, embraced that, and they get it now. But we had, like I said, we didn't do our job. So counselors go to college to be counselors. They don't know unless they've got a family member.
Yeah.
In the trades.
I know, like we've talked, because we've had a few people from BOCES. We had Dr. Parker on at one point in time, and talking about the stigma, right? Because like when I'm pointing at Derek, but I'm 10 years older than you, right?
Is it 10?
No.
That's it?
All right, everyone. But, like when I grew up, was going to school, BOCES was for the kids that couldn't hack the Regis program, right? Like if you couldn't handle the Regents program, then they automatically put you in the BOCES and you were automatically labeled as not a smart kid, right?
That's exactly right.
And it boggles my mind, right? Because that's like, again, when we were talking to Storky.
There was excavators driving back and forth around the building, and they were picking up what was it? And they were placing it on cones
like
in the
a
parking
tennis
lot.
ball or something.
It was incredible.
But like, the aptitude that you need to do that stuff. And it's amazing to me. And again, like Sam's a smart kid. You can tell by talking to him, he's going into trades. And there's just that stigma still kind of exists, right? A little bit with the trades. And I just can't understand why when you see all these people that are blue collar people making millions of dollars, having a great life, building a great business, employing hundreds of people in some cases, like how would you not want to be a part of that?
You should be, and I learned this from one of the gentlemen with the Carpenters Union, actually, because the unions they also work with us, because we all figure it doesn't matter your union, non-union, we all need workers.
Yeah.
But he's so proud to be in the trades, and he's right, because the trades built this country.
Yes.
And they maintain this country.
Yeah.
Those buildings, those roads, the schools, the hospitals, the
Absolutely.
libraries. So if you think about it that way, there's an awful lot of pride behind that. And it's too bad that more people don't get that.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that, in a small way we hope to change with this podcast, right? It's just the fact that like helping to educate people on the fact that if it wasn't for trades and blue collar people, this country would not exist. And we'd be falling, and we are falling apart for that matter, because we're suffering shortages left, right, and center, right? And so our infrastructure, and sooner or later, like with the statistics that we see, if we don't get more people interested in trades, there's going to come a time where there's going to be a very small group of people that know how to fix all the things that are broken.
And it's, it makes it easier when you're talking to some of the parents when they've had to have a repair done at the house and they end up waiting weeks to get it done.
Yeah.
And then they get the bill at the end of it.
Yeah.
The dots start getting a little closer together. They start to understand this could be very lucrative.
Yeah.
But Pam touches on a great point. You got the money piece of it, but the pride and the sense of satisfaction you get when you actually build something and see the finished product. And that's,
very tangible.
I think that's a big piece of what draws people to this.
And it was the schools. We have to give the schools credit, because when we started out, we were working primarily with juniors and seniors, thinking, hey, they're the next ones that are going to be out in the workforce, right? But we very quickly backpedaled, and the schools taught us start earlier. We start in second grade with these kids to plant the seed.
Nice.
And work our way through middle school and high school. So it was the schools that made us aware of that, though, and helped us get there. So
Get second graders out there operating.
That's amazing.
Loaders.
We do little toolbox builds with them, and it's a chance to talk about the trades and different kinds of wood, and they just have a great time, and they tote those things around all day, and they go home and show them, and they talk to their parents about it, and so we just try to keep it going.
The builders love to go into the classroom. You wouldn't necessarily think about these burly full beards and Carhartt jackets in front of these young kids talking about building, and they actually love it. And one of the unintended consequences of the work that we've done is the loyalty that our customers are showing Curtis, because Curtis, in conjunction with the Saratoga Builders Association, really kind of launched this, and Curtis has supported Pam and I for the past 7 years to do this work. So even though we're our own not-for-profit now, they really deserve a lot of recognition for seeing this and supporting us and letting us do this on top of our other full-time jobs. But, it's
well, it's one of those things, right? Like, it's working on a problem that may not have a direct benefit, but it has a benefit to all.
Yeah.
It comes back. I mean, we do that all the time with a lot of different things where there may not be a direct benefit, but if it helps the overall community at large, it's going to come back to you in some way. And for Curtis, if you can build faster, that means more materials, right?
And you have to think long term, and I think people involved with our organization do. They realize a lot of these things we're not going to see an immediate results on.
Mm-hmm.
Some things we have, we're really changing the schools and how they think about this and so on. But a lot of it is long term thinking. We're not going to see some of those results really until maybe 10 years down the road or more.
Well, that's good timing because
somewhere.
What's the stat right now?
60%.
60%? Yeah, so, just for automotive anyway, but because we were at HVCC a couple weeks and they were giving us some stats, and I think we put them on our Blue Collar website, but one of the stats they had was one of the scary ones, is that 60% of the automotive repair industry is going to retire in the next 10 years, right? Like, that's 60% of that workforce going to be gone, and there's not enough people to replace them, right? And that's just automotive. And then you start looking at
all their students are chomping at the bit.
Oh yeah. They all
can't wait to get to work.
They're already hired. But
look at the shortage of drivers in the country, CLD drivers. It's 60,000 or something. It's some outrageous number. That's just drivers.
On a country that relies on those logistics for almost every system that we have in place, whether it's food, lumber, we see the trains going by all the time with lumber on them, sheetrock on them, cars full of it,
any product.
Yeah, it's such a huge problem in so many different industries, and
we're going to feel the pain even more, I think, than we do now. Really.
Yeah,
that's why I'm taking that welding class.
Pam and I are on the tail ends of our career, but there's no quick fix. It's and we have to have more people like ourselves, out telling the story. You guys are doing a great job on behalf of the trades,
Thank God.
Educating people, and that's really what it's going to come down to. And I think we've turned the corner on that. I think people, are starting to understand. We hope anyway.
We hope, yeah. And so, what kind of support? So, let's say there's someone listening to this podcast, maybe they're a blue collar business owner and they want to support what you're doing or get involved. What kind of support do you look for? What kind of help do you look for?
First thing would be to call me or email me, most definitely. And then we'll see, what you need, what you'd like to do, how you'd like to be involved. We work with everybody individually, really. As Doug mentioned earlier, we're kind of broken down into subcommittees. So if you have a certain area of expertise that you'd like to delve into, or some area where you'd like to contribute, specifically, we can figure it out, just like we do with the schools. If they want us in there to talk to their kids, we figure it out based on their school schedules. We'll make it happen. People call us all the time. We stopped recruiting, so to speak, a long time ago. Really, there's no
as far as businesses that are
as far as people that want to be involved in the work. And there's a lot of people that aren't formally involved with us, but we can always call on them. We have a superintendent who retired a couple of years ago, and he still helps us out. We drag him in on different projects now and then. So we have a lot of people that like to do that too. And but just you'll give out my information, I guess.
Yeah,
and,
we'll make sure that it's in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely contact me, and we'll make it happen.
So with our new not for profit, we're going to be launching a campaign here very soon for membership and opportunities to do sponsorships as well.
Sorry.
So once we get that campaign formally launched, we're going to be looking for some financial support, and we want to get out there and really reach out to more people than we currently are, and it's going to take some dollars and some more people. So that's really kind of the driving initiative behind the not-for-profit, is to really tell our story to more people.
Yeah.
Go broader. Go deeper.
Yeah.
Good
But it's going to take
Doug.
money.
Good
It's going to
job,
take money.
Doug.
It all
He thinks of
does.
the money. I
And
don't.
some people don't have time, but they're willing to invest
Yeah.
in something like this where their dollars can go a long way. So we want to be able to do that for them as well.
Yeah, and I think for anybody that owns a business in the trades, it would be worth every penny.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
And when you say go broader, currently you're more, we'll say, capital region focused. Is that going broader? Is that just larger in New York State, or are you going to be going up into Vermont, New Hampshire? I mean, I know it's Northeast.
So that was a great question, because in January I will become the chair of the Northeastern Retail Lumber Association, which is an organization that is made up of all of the independent lumber dealers across 13 states.
Oh, wow.
So
Guess what?
I'm going to use that.
Yeah,
use that
absolutely.
2 years. It's a 2-year term. I'm going to use that time to really get the other lumber dealers across the 13 states that I'll be involved with to really get out there and do their part as well. Because if every single lumber company worked with a school in their region,
Yeah.
think about how many more students would be impacted by that. So, again, I blame our industry. We're out there, busting our butts every day, and we're not doing enough, work educating people about what we do.
Yeah. And really, I really do think that there's just such a culture shift that we have to nurture. I think it's happening, right? But of letting people understand how great it can be. It's, being blue collar doesn't mean you're digging ditches all day, and that's kind of the stigma, right? And well, I didn't really make it.
Pounding hammers and nails all night, right?
And like that, it's so much more than that, and there's just so much. I don't want to say glory, but there's just so much good about being in the trades and what you can accomplish as a blue collar business owner. So we've got to do that.
You got it down, Mike.
Well, we'll see. We're,
Send us your check.
all right. You got
There you
it.
go, Pam.
You got it.
So if people do want to get a hold of you, do you guys have a website that's up yet?
We're just in the process of creating a website, to be honest with you. Cool. So, again, because our coalition, our nonprofit was just formed, but we're working on it as we speak.
Well, get us the details and what the web address is, and we'll be sure to put it up.
Yeah, we'll make sure
Great.
that
And
stuff
in the
on
meantime,
there.
if you just use my contact information, that would be great.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we will.
And you can go to the Curtis Lumber website. We have,
We have a link for the
a link
workforce.
through the Curtis Lumber website as well.
Brilliant. And they can just Google it.
Yeah, www.curtislumber.com.
.com. Yeah.
All right.
And there's a link for workforce development.
Perfect.
Lots of information on there and pictures and whatnot.
All right.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Yeah,
really
we
appreciate it. I know it was
Glad we could put it together.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
And I'm sorry I showed up late.
It's okay.
That's what
It's
happens
not
when
okay,
you're from
man.
Tupper Lake.
No, Tupper Lake shows up on time. Saranac Lake shows up late. And as always, everyone, thanks for listening. You can check us out. BlueCollarStartup.io is our website. We're on Instagram. I think that's also our handle on Instagram, as often as I look at it. Check us out. Follow us on Instagram for my very exciting bi-monthly posts that I put up there. It's really exciting stuff. Thanks. And Derek, good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Big shout out to Luke Michaels and the Michaels Group for all your support, for helping us out.
Yeah. Because of Luke and their sponsorship, we were able to write some big checks.
Nice.
For some local organizations. We're able to donate some money to a well-deserving gentleman down at Blue Collar College, HVCC, and we just gave some money over to BOCES as well to help some kids with tools and other setups. So, just trying to do a little bit more. So,
And they can buy those tools at Curtis Lumber.
and they can. How about that?
There you go.
Well, the Michaels Group has been a customer of Curtis for a long, long time, and we appreciate all they do.
They're great people.
Yeah, they really are.
We had Luke on the show. Must have been maybe 6-7 months ago now, but just a great story. great company, great people. Yeah, really appreciative for their sponsorship too. So thanks everybody. Thanks for listening.
Jonathan.
Thank you.
Thank you.